Have you considered a career in law? Do you have no idea what that means? Fear not, I'm going to explain. My name is Melissa. I am not a law student, but I'm going to be. I wanted to make a short-ish, we'll see how good my editing skills are, video that's just an introduction into the world of law for all of you non-law students who are considering maybe doing a career in law but actually have no idea what any of that means, because I was once you and I had to figure this all out, so I figured I could make it easier for the next generation. But let's begin. I have 4 main points. I'll put timestamps down at the bottom so you can sort of skip ahead if you don't want to listen to me rambling on all that time. It's fine, I won't take it personally. And as the last little point, I will keep this very general, so no matter if you want to be a solicitor or a barrister, and if you don't know what that means, don't worry, it will all apply to you no matter what. So, also the lighting has really changed. One sec. Alright, welcome to Melissa in a different shade, and now you can truly see the full impact of my recent personal crisis. One of many. Point 1. You, the person watching this video, you, my special little darling, are not behind. If you are in your, I don't know, final year of a history degree, or if you've graduated and you're just now thinking maybe you want to do law, you're not behind. There's no timeline to becoming a lawyer. You don't need to be qualified by the age of 22. I said that very qualified by the age of 22 or anything. There's no deadline or timeline, and you're not wasting your time by doing things other than relentlessly pursuing a career in law. And you won't be penalized in your legal career if you have done other things, whether you've worked other jobs or done different university degrees. It's only going to help you because there's these wonderful things called transferable skills, and you just need to learn to tap into this. So long story short, don't worry, you're not behind. There's no deadline, you're fine. Stop worrying. Stop it. Secondly, welcome to law. You may be wondering, what will my future look like? Well, okay, I know that looks very scary, but trust me, it does actually make sense. I'm not sure which way the diagram's going to be going, but basically, this diagram is showing the pathways from being a university student to being a qualified lawyer, no matter where you're sort of coming from. So as you will notice, there's 2 different sort of end goals. One of those is being a qualified solicitor, one of those is being a qualified barrister. And I will have Professor Melissa come in to explain the difference between those very briefly. Hello. Today's lesson is going to be on explaining the differences between solicitors and barristers. There are 2 types of qualified lawyers in the UK legal system, solicitors and barristers. The term lawyer does not actually have any qualifications inherent to it, so technically you could call yourself a lawyer right now and you would not be legally wrong. You would be morally wrong though. You will have to decide early on in your career if you would like to qualify as a solicitor or barrister, because there is a different qualification process inherent in it. The main differences between the 2 types of jobs can be seen in the type of work that they do, so I will try to explain that now. Starting with solicitors, there are about 100,000 qualified solicitors in the UK, which gives you a good idea of how necessary they are to the legal profession. Solicitors' work can be productively summed up as advisory and behind the scenes. Solicitors are the ones who will be giving advice directly to a client, whether it be a company or an individual, on how to deal with a legal issue that may have come up, or even just how to deal with an aspect such as the sale of an asset or the purchasing of an asset. The solicitors will be the ones who advise them on all of the sort of legal steps that need to be taken to properly do them. Not all of the work solicitors do involves going into court, but when they do go into court, they are the ones who put together the arguments and put together all of the information that is required for court. And then once they go to court, they hand over that information to the barrister. The barrister's main role was one of advocacy. They are the ones who go into court, they wear the funny hair, and they present arguments to the judge. And the arguments that they present will be ones that have been developed by the solicitors on that case. As barristers only work in court and not on the many other advisory sides of aspects of law, there are many fewer barristers in the UK, about 16,000 compared to the 100,000 solicitors, and that gives you an idea of the more narrow work that they do within the law. Some lifestyle differences between the two. Solicitors will often mostly work for a law firm, and they will be working on a salaried basis, meaning that they get X number of pounds per year and also have worked in vacation days and paid holidays and benefits and such. Barristers, on the other hand, work inside of chambers, but they work as self-employed individuals within that chamber. So they are technically in control of their own hours, in control of which clients they work for, and in control of how much work they do at any given time. So they could technically take more time off for themselves if they wanted to, but at the same time, their pay is much less steady and consistent because it is not a salaried basis. However, you can't make generalizations on pay between the two because it of course depends on which firm or chambers you're working for and which area of law more than anything. Alright, I hope that explanation by Professor Melissa was helpful and that you sort of understand the differences between barristers and solicitors a bit more. If you need more information, I will be putting some links in the box below, or maybe link a video around here if I find one. So having said that, the qualification route that you can expect to take if you are a non-law student at the moment is the following. No matter if you want to be a barrister or a solicitor, you will do your non-law degree. So for example, I did politics and international relations. You will then do a 1-year GDL, which is the graduate diploma in law, and essentially takes all the most important aspects of a law degree and condenses it into a 1-year course. You will then do a single-year qualifying degree for solicitors, that's called the LPC, the legal practice course, and for barristers that's called the BPTC, or the bar practice training. And those two courses essentially take all the legal information that you learned in school and apply it to a more realistic context that will be useful for you when you're actually working. And then after those 2 degrees, you will get a period of training within an actual legal institution. For barristers, that's a chambers, and the training period is called a mini pupillage, or a pupillage. And for solicitors, that is in a law firm, and the training period is called a training contract. Now there is a new qualification series called the SQE, the SQE, which is a lot more complicated than this, but also a lot more flexible and very controversial. But I will link a video here to explain that all because I don't want to get into that right now. And if your head is spinning a bit right now after all of that, that's fine. I'm going to move on to point 3, which is don't worry. If you are only at the point in your career where you are trying to get work experience and decide if a legal career is right for you, you don't need to be that concerned about whether you want to follow a barrister or a solicitor route. And if you're worried about what area of law you think you'd want to go into, I just want to say one thing. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. You don't need to be very concerned about what types of law there are and what types of law you could see yourself doing. And this is because there are so many different areas of law for every aspect of life, really. And in individual firms, a lot of those areas overlap in certain ways. And without having first-hand experience, it's really impossible to know what areas you will personally click with and personally enjoy. Now, of course, if there's something that you find personally very important to you, whether that's immigration law or environmental law or agricultural law, then of course pursue that. But you don't need to be super concerned about if your passion is going to be an M&A or some other aspect of commercial law. Without the experience, you can't know. And don't worry about it. Which moves us on to my final point. So what do you do now? You are probably wondering that if you are a student or a graduated student who is thinking about a career in law, what are you supposed to actually do? The main thing to do now is to just get legal work experience and to expose yourself to the law. Not that way, that sounds wrong. You will get arrested if you do that. Expose yourself to legal media and legal ideas. The main thing you should be worrying about right now is buffing up your CV. You want to demonstrate that you are interested in a legal career, you are engaged with it, and that you have spent the time to try to get different experiences so you can really be sure of the choices that you make later on down the road. Now, what type of legal work experience you can get, of course, depends on your personal life situation. If you're in university, it will be different from if you were working in the real world and, you know, working 50-hour weeks, having to pay off your rent. But buffing up your CV is something that you're going to have to set time apart for, you know, set time apart for that your future self will think. Set time aside that your future self will thank you for. And you are going to want to change your CV depending on the application that you are using it for, but you will want a basic version for that. And I will do a video later on about my own CV and sort of showing you how I structure mine, but if you are having trouble writing a CV in general or specifically for a legal context, Lucy made a very helpful video for that, so go check that out there. So if you are considering a law career and you are trying to get experience, there are a couple of sort of opportunities to keep an eye out for. So if you've decided that you think you might want to go into law and you want to sort of have some experiences to help build up your CV and help to sort of get a taste for that world. If you're considering being a solicitor, the main things that you want to look out for are open days, first-year insight schemes, vacation schemes, and training contracts. Open days are what they say on the tin. It's usually an evening, stupidly, at a firm where you will go in, listen to a talk, listen to some perhaps application tips from graduate recruitment, perhaps a talk on some legal topic, and generally have a networking session and get to know the firm. And they're useful for getting to know that firm itself and also just sort of the legal world in general. And there's also many other types of workshops and events that firms often held. For example, I did one called Diversity in Law for LGBT plus future lawyers, and it was very helpful in sort of jumpstarting my legal career. So keep an eye out for stuff like that. First year insight schemes are insight schemes, sort of mini internships, I guess, for specifically first year law students, but they are also often open to second and third year non-law students. These are, in normal times, you would go into the firm, perhaps do a little bit of legal work, and have a lot of talks and sort of various insight sessions into the firm itself and the career generally. Vacation schemes and training contracts are the sort of holy grail of student lawyers. Vacation schemes are essentially internships that law firms hold where you are generally paid, you go into the office, you do little bits of work, and you often have an interview for the training contract, which, as I mentioned previously, is the actual set period of time, usually 2 years, where you will be working in a firm as essentially a baby lawyer, and after which you will qualify as a solicitor. And vacation schemes and training contracts, particularly at firms in London, are very competitive, and these you will be applying to at some point, but it's often not the first step if you're not sure about pursuing a legal career. If you're considering being a barrister, chambers, because there's many fewer barristers in the UK, there's a really nice sunset. As I mentioned, there's many fewer barristers in the UK than there are solicitors, so chambers often do less sort of outreach programs, particularly on university campuses, but often chambers will have open evenings, similarly to the open days held at firms. So if you're interested in a career as a barrister, those are very good to go to. And mini pupilages are the other major way of getting work experience as a barrister. Mini pupilages are pupilages, but mini, never would have guessed. And essentially it's like work shadowing. You are assigned usually a barrister and you follow them around, you go to court, you go to trials, you just observe their lifestyle, and you are able to talk to them and ask them a lot of questions, and many of them are very friendly and helpful and will help you in your career. These can be assessed, in which they are more like a vacation scheme in that you will have an interview for a pupillage at the end, but they can also be very informal, unassessed, where it is essentially just work shadowing. And I've done several of those. They were very helpful in sort of understanding the legal world from another perspective that I wouldn't have gotten. And while they are competitive, they are definitely a viable option as sort of a first-ish step into your legal career. And then then, of course, there's a billion and one ways that you can get legal work experience, legal-ish work experience. That's not official work experience. I'm going to do a whole video about all the different types I did, but my main suggestions would be societies if you're at university. So hit up all of your law societies, non-law societies, commercial awareness society, Amnesty International, even debate society. I'm president of that. Will be very helpful for your legal career, and there's always a lot of great opportunities that these societies offer. So for example, the Pro Bono Society at my university actually offers pro bono placements, and I was able to do some of those. So make use of those. Volunteering, specifically law-related volunteering, will look great on your CV and make you feel very warm and fuzzy inside. For example, citizens advice bureaus or law centers often have positions available for volunteers of which you need no legal work experience. Those might not be specifically law-related. So for example, I worked as an administrative support volunteer, but because you're working very close to lawyers, you can still get a really good taste of the law from that perspective. And in any other sort of volunteering, you can often sort of uncover a legal aspect of it, and generally it just helps look good on your CV, and it's also good for the world, which is the most important part. Main point being, reach out, put time aside to work on your career, and get creative with the type of experience you look for. So that's all I have to say. Basically, at the moment, welcome to law. I'm glad you're interested. We have a lot of fun here despite all of the nihilistic humor, and I'm glad you decided to join us. At the moment, your main concern should be, do you have a good CV, and putting in the time to research different opportunities that you could take advantage of, which I know is difficult with everything being online, but you gotta do the best you can do, and hopefully that comment won't be applicable anymore very soon. Let me know if you have any other questions about anything related to the law. I'll try to answer them, put them down in the comments box, or I'll put my link for LinkedIn in the description as well, and you can message me there because we're real professional, aren't we? And I hope you found that helpful. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you guys next time.